It's usually things that definitely don't need to exist, at least to me.
No, definitely not. We're moving into a wild era of technology. I would rather remain a Luddite.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's also really funny that you said a lot of that. Sometimes when I hear someone say a word or I'm watching TV or a movie, someone says something and I think that's a cool word. Like I wanna introduce that word to my vocabulary and just kind of start saying it and see if anyone notices, just kind of make it part of my words. And Luddite is a word I picked up a couple weeks ago, and now actually Sarah used it the other day. So I don't know if she kind of picked up on me or if she's got the same thing.
I mean, it's possible. Power of suggestion, right?
It's a cool word.
Yeah, I do agree. And it's a great concept. I was born in the late 80s, so I experienced childhood before the internet. And, all of this technology feels still so new to me that it just would seem easier to go back to the times of Google Maps being a physical map. But no, that's arguable. Actually, people need Google Maps, I suppose. It's easier.
No, no, I agree for sure, and I mean, long for everything to slow down a bit and kind of think about how things were when I was growing up too, and then I also think that it probably won't ever even remotely go back to that because, like you and I might want it to, but there are a lot of people with money and power and things that don't want it to. So I think sadly they'll probably end up winning in the end.
Oh, yeah, definitely technology is a spearheader in a lot of society and economical growth.
It's gonna be like really bad. Like I don't want to make it worse or get in your head more, but a lot of the stuff you do is kind of it's got like a without a personal touch, it wouldn't be the same, right? Like music,
Oh, yeah.
skating, collage, everything. Like maybe not everything, but a lot of the stuff I know you're a part of. People would probably be pushing AI, but I feel would make it worse and not at all what it's supposed to be. So you got to be up against it more than most people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. AI in art and music is very bizarre and odd, and I've never actually dabbled into chat GTP prompts and it's just a world I'm not interested in exploring. And I like the tangible elements of creating art and seeing the way people approach art with different mediums. And I just prefer it that way, I suppose.
Well, I hope you can hold out forever. I assume you can, but it would be so nice to. I mean, I don't do any of that stuff either. Really, like especially for any art or anything, I would never even think about it. There have been times where I've thought it might be easier to edit one of these things or do something simple with a prompt. But then I think about it for more than a few seconds and I just don't even want to figure out how to do that. So I've looked into it a couple times, decided not to each time, but I also haven't really played around with it at all. It's really it's kind of terrifying to be honest, but
Well, even just questioning our own reality when we see an image of something that is supposed to be real and then finding out it's AI, it's a very disjointed kind of realm that we're living in. Like I enjoy reading sci-fi. I'll admit I watch a lot of sci-fi. I'm definitely comparing a lot of the world we live in with books I've read that talk about a futuristic world and how technology infiltrates, whether we kind of personally choose it to or not. It's just so prominent.
I've heard about lately and seen references to like some older books kind of, having like plot lines that are almost exactly what's happening in the world. And I wonder, I guess you would know a lot more than most of the people I talk to. Do those people like can they actually are they forming a prediction about how things were gonna be, or are they just making up a wild story that happened to ironically like come true later?
I wonder about that sometimes, like if it came to them a dream or if it's like some sort of like premonition they've tapped into, like what the future would look like. But I do think that humans are predictable and there is a lot of like predictability even with all the uncertainty. And so I think just looking at like human patterns and like how the world has changed, but also like repeated itself so much. I'm curious to like almost go back in time and like speak to these authors or writers to actually maybe better understand how they came up with these concepts.
I know, I just think about them like, were they writing a cool book that happened to be prophesized, or were they like living in anxiety like we all are, like worrying about what might happen?
I mean, it's a common human trait. I think so. It's possible it's both. I've lost my train of thought.
You seem to know. I mean, you have a more like educated stance on all this. I just form my opinions off basically what other people say. I'm not opposed to sci-fi, but I'm not an avid reader like it sounds like you would be.
Oh yeah, I'm still like new, I suppose, in the large realm of reading sci-fi, but the last few I've read, I've really enjoyed, and I just am excited to keep exploring it because it kind of helps take you away from the current state of affairs as well. Just reading in general.
I was gonna ask if it helps distract from what's happening or if it compounds and makes it feel like double real.
I think that the like reality of what we're living through like never escapes me, but I do think I find like a moment of solace in these books or in these like art forms I do. But at the end of the day, I think it's always still kind of scratching at the back of your mind that we're living through war and just so much shit.
Yeah, yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
That I wanted to kind of start by, I guess, really just thanking you for being here and acknowledging that I told you when we were setting this up, you were quite a requested guest there. Like many people, even outside the city, are like, who is a great like Edmontonian, Brandi Strauss. You gotta get her on. Like some people are maybe shocked is a bit extreme, but there are people who are confused like how it hasn't happened yet.
Interesting. Well, thanks to whoever's gassing me up out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's like even more deserved than they might think. And then I started looking into, like I was telling you, I just want to be able to, I want to keep up with all of my interviews, but for sure, like I need to know what you're doing, what bands you're a part of, everything. And there's, a lot of people I kind of find I have difficulty maybe in like I have a format for the emails that go out with each episode, and sometimes it's hard for me to like explain in just a few bullet points what the guest does, or like what, on the surface, like if they're a designer or a photographer, if they're in a band or whatever. With you, I think I have like an infinite amount of stuff to pick from. I can't fit even a quarter of it into a bio probably. So like it's so incredible that you're a part of all this stuff, and I guess like out of all the bands, all the art, everything else, like what did you do first? Like, is that too blanket of a question? Like, what was your first
Hmm.
subculture, I guess? Skating or music or art?
I feel like skateboarding and music and art all sort of stay within the same realm for the most part because they influence so much of each other. Like I did try skateboarding when I was like 14, and I do recall watching videos like That's Life and Jump Off a Building and like discovering a lot of music that I still even love to this day through those videos. So unknowingly, I would say that there was no specific, I suppose, hobby or like time frame that it all started. Maybe collaging was the first medium I got a lot of recognition with, but I was a painter, I suppose, before that, and I still paint and try to do mixed media work, including collaging, into my other practices of printmaking and painting.
That's awesome. I actually had another question jotted down, but I wanted to know if collages were like your entry into art, or if something else got you into it and then it kind of turned into that. What age did you like? How old are you when you did your first like serious painting?
Mm, I mean, I had moved to the city when I was 16, and I actually had an art show when I was 17 at this apartment just off of White Ave. But they had showed like six pieces of my like silly robot paintings I had done, or like abstract paintings. And so I feel like that was maybe the first opportunity I had to showcase work. And it's just always evolving. Like I enjoy experimenting with different mediums. Like last year, I got really into cyanotype, and I just think I'm still figuring out what type of art I want to hone in on. Like I definitely could focus a little bit more maybe on one, but I like the idea of kind of combining them all at the end, like even maybe putting photography into collage and then making a print of that, or just like a nice blend.
What was the apartment on White Ave called?
I don't remember right now, but it was just off of 108th and White on 83rd Ave.
Like kind of by Tops, right?
Yes, yeah, and this guy Kenny lived there, and I just like met him through some people. He saw a few of my pieces and asked me if I wanted to hang a few up, but that was
Yeah, okay. I definitely was thinking of that exact spot. Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunately that building isn't there anymore, but
Yeah, that was one of the maybe the last, not the last, but one of the last like cool buildings in the area. It was around for a while because it was like a big brick.
yeah,
Like I remember everyone in there was kind of pretty cool and like supportive of each other. I mean, an apartment having art shows, I don't know if that would fly in that area now that that's all kind of gentrified a bit and more corporate, less art.
yeah, unfortunately I think that's a bit of a lost thing, just having like such a community, or it feels that way just because of gentrification and I suppose us getting older and people moving into houses and starting families and just changing their lifestyle, really. Like maybe there is some underground apartment art shows in Edmonton that we're unaware of and I'm not privy to. I want to dream that anyway.
Yeah, no, I'll join you. I like the idea of it too. I don't love the idea of that existing without us knowing about it, but it would be cool if it did.
Yeah, definitely.
I also another question I was gonna ask. Like this is the thing. I don't know enough about you, and I'm really glad that I'm getting to know a bit more. But I don't even know if you're like born and raised here, and I guess you weren't if you moved here when you were 16.
Yeah, no, I actually grew up in Kitscoty, Alberta. It's a small village just maybe 24K out of Saskatchewan, but still in Alberta. Um, but it was maybe 800 people, so really small town. But I was born in Hinton, Alberta. We just ended up moving shortly after.
So then, like, what maybe this is the real blanket statement, but I wonder, like, what were you doing out there as a kid? Like, how did a kid from such a small place grow up to have all these eclectic interests that are kind of, maybe I don't want to offend small towns, but it just seems like bigger than a small town.
I think I maybe recognized at an early age that there was more to life than what that small town had to offer. I had a wild imagination as a kid. Like I was always outside or just exploring in some way, whether it was even going through my dad's records or trying to play his drums or getting on my brother's skateboard. Like there wasn't a lot to do. So you had to be very creative. And I think from that, a lot of inspiration can arise. But
You know what I think? I mean, what you're saying makes me think. I've talked to a few people recently that are like quite creative and kind of went on to do pretty incredibly creative stuff, but they're also from small towns. And they've all kind of had that same answer where because there wasn't so much to do, they had to use their mind to make it interesting things. And now I kind of wonder anyone from a bigger city, are they at a bit of a disadvantage? Like maybe all these small town people, they know what's up and we don't.
I think that could be quite arguable because I find there's such an advantage to have grown up in a big city and just like having a large community and having opportunity to do a lot more. Like I find the opportunity can be very inspiring, and that's a big reason why I moved to Edmonton from Kitscoty. I just felt very limited with like creativity and growth and even opportunity.
It's really cool to hear you kind of hit the ground running because, like, if you only lived here within the year, you were already showing your first work. I mean, you must have been like motivated or had like drive to get that done. I can think of maybe even me included, like, within moving somewhere new, I wouldn't have accomplished anything within a year, especially at that age.
It may have been a little bit of like boredom and isolation and just uncertainty because I was so young and trying to like find my footing in such a big city and like such a new space for me. But in hindsight, I'm like grateful I moved here when I did and all the opportunities that have arisen from it. Actually, this month in March is 20 years of me living here. So I think that says a lot.
Yeah, that's I mean incredible. Have you've lived here the whole time, or did you like live anywhere else and then come back?
No, I've stayed here the whole time, but because I get to travel so much or, have these tours to look forward to, it allows me to leave Edmonton and appreciate it in a way that I think is hard to appreciate it if you're just here all the time.
Sarah and I say something very similar all the time. We both love it here. Like I mean, we complain sometimes, like anyone does, but we love it. We'll be here forever, but we love going, like traveling, seeing what's happening somewhere else, and then kind of uh, taking inspiration from that in certain ways and bringing it home. And then it's like every time we're back, we improve life here based on what we learn somewhere else.
Exactly. It's all about like just growing and evolving and finding that inspiration in anything you do, whether it's travel or, just ride your bike through the city or go for, a movie that's been filmed in another country or watch a documentary that takes you to how even another person lives. I think it's important to be exposed to other ways of living and other parts of the world, and even just the diversity of people and architecture is a huge inspiration for me when I travel. I take a lot of photos of buildings and I'm like, I wish Edmonton looked more like this, but I can also appreciate the brutalism here.
Where, I mean, I didn't have this one written down, but based on what you're saying, I just want to ask out of curiosity, where have you been lately, or ever, where you've actually noticed like a huge difference in the architecture? Because Sarah and I were talking about this kind of recently, that a lot of places feels sort of similar. Like everywhere looks a bit different, but some places are just like people, cars, stores, apartments, houses. Like there isn't much different. But then some places I've been really stand out, and you can tell. Like San Francisco looks
Yes.
way different. New Orleans, like definitely different. So I'm wondering for you, like, have you noticed? Where's the most different?
Um, Definitely Spain is very high up, I suppose, in like the list of places that I've found to be quite beautiful with their architecture. But there was a lot in Japan and Taiwan that I also found to be quite breathtaking. But I think it's just like also how these buildings are made and like the material that are being used. Like a lot of red brick and like cement, and I guess like those stronger foundations of structure tend to have a bit more movement to them, and I find that to be really beautiful.
You've never considered adding architect to your resume?
No, but who knows? Maybe one day I'll design my own house and it'll be in a tree somewhere. I'm just kidding.
I could see that happening. If someone said like band member, artist, skater, architect, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Well, you talked about like what when you were younger, like when you were a teenager, were you kind of in like movies and TV and I guess real life as well, people like want to leave their small town and they can't wait to get somewhere bigger. Was that you? Like, were you always talking about moving away, or was it random when it happened?
No, unfortunately, my dad had passed away when I was 13, and that was a big spearheader of me needing and wanting to escape. So unfortunately, I like did plan on staying in Kitscoty and like going to university in Lloydminster, and like I did have an idea where I thought my life would go. But after that had happened, so much within me had changed, and I had just felt like I had so much to maybe get out, and I knew that I couldn't do that in Kid Scotty. So there was, yeah, 2, 3 years of me recognizing I needed to get out, but I really enjoyed growing up there, and I had a pretty fun, memorable childhood.
Do you go back, or did you closer to that, like ever go home and visit, or were you like gone? Once you were gone, you're gone.
No, I would go back, but I mean, my mom passed away before the pandemic, so now there's nothing left for me to go back to in Kid Scotty. So I've like considered driving through and like maybe taking photos or going for a walk, but I feel it's still a bit tender in a way, just because there was so much history there. But
Yeah, yeah. Of course. Now I feel kind of bad asking those
oh
questions.
no, no, it's real, and it's something I need to be like less vulnerable about. It's like it happens with everyone at some point in life, and unfortunately it happened maybe a little earlier for some, but I'm very grateful for the life they gave me and I guess like the tools that they gave me because it is a big part of how I live day to day.
It's a great way to look at it. And I mean, thank you for even sharing that again. Sorry if it's not the greatest questioning, but I did not know.
It's real.
So then when you moved here, were you I mean, I guess when a lot of young people move out, no matter what the like reasoning for it is, they're kind of on their own a bit more. But it sounds like you might have been really on your like you moved to a new place, you had just lost your dad, like that must have been even more of a hard thing to deal with. Like you had to fully learn a new place without that person around.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I developed a lot of, I suppose, good survival skills and just like street smarts, if you want to call it that. Because I moved here on my own, I was like supporting myself and, doing my best to take care of myself, whatever that looked like at the time, even throughout maybe me struggling with what had happened. But
And did you know any people here or have any connections, or was it just close to where you grew up, so this was the place?
I knew a small few people through skateboarding, but for the most part, it was a bit of a blind move.
Well, I'm glad that I mean it. I think I was alluding to this a bit before. I think you're such a important Edmontonian and such a like vital piece of many scenes going on here. So sorry, like I apologize that you had to go through all that, but I'm glad we got you. You know, like that Edmonton get got to claim you through all that.
Wow. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It does feel like home here, and I do love the communities. Like, there's such a vast array of so much amazing stuff happening within Edmonton. And sometimes I wish I was a part of more, but I'm very grateful for the communities I'm involved in and just all my friends here.
So when see, I'm just trying to think of how to cohesively fit all this in. It's incredible that I have so many things to pull from. It doesn't always go this way for me in my talks, but when did music become a thing for you? Like when did you start your first band?
Um, I suppose like first real band that played shows and, toured and put out music on a physical platform would have been I was around 19 and it was called Geister, which is ghost in German. We were all young and hadn't really picked up instruments or tried maybe being in bands before. So half of it was learning how to play while learning to write songs. And it was with some of my best friends who I'm still best friends with now. So it's very special.
That's so great that you said what the name meant because I feel very uncool when I ask people what
No,
names mean, but I have written down here what does Geister mean, and I didn't know if there would be any point where I could like ask without it being
work that
super.
in.
Yeah, so thank you. That I had no idea.
Anything you need to ask, like you can clip and paste later. We can edit it post production.
So how long did that go for? Like how long was Geister a thing for?
I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 years. I feel like my concept of time isn't linear anymore. The older I get, I'm like, was that 14 years ago or was that 10? But we had a few good tours down to the States, but we had only ever released a 7 inch and no, two 7 inches, sorry. And I think we were working on releasing a third, but the band had disbanded after a tour. We were all living together, which I don't think maybe was the best option. because then we all went on tour together and it got a little heated, I'll say.
Yeah, that's a lot of time to spend in like different environments too, like the same people in a bunch of different like phases of everything.
Especially at, I think, such a young age. Like a lot of people maybe haven't really figured out how to kind of hone in on themselves. They're figuring out who they are, and like you can have a lot of personalities clash, I think, at that time. Lots of ego.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can imagine. I wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, I have no musical talent, or I've never thought of doing any of that stuff. But I can
Yeah, you've never explored it. I'm sure that you have some rhythm in there.
I can imagine not being able to play well. I mean, I can play well with others, but maybe not that well. Like to live and tour.
I mean,
Was everyone, like you said, you were learning basically how to be a musician? Was everyone in the band learning, or was anyone kind of seasoned beforehand?
I think my friend Moira, the guitarist, had like picked up a guitar before. All of her brothers are musicians. And then the guys in the band at the time, Shane was going to be on guitar and then Ian on drums, but then they had actually switched. And so it was very interesting how we were all like kind of figuring it out together for the most part. But, we were all interested in music. So the idea of trying to write something wasn't as intimidating. It was more just a fun process. I mean, we were young, we were naive, like we didn't really care to write anything quote unquote epic, if I may say. I hate using that word, but we were just having fun with it and wanted to see where it would go and where it would take us. And I probably wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't have had those experiences with those friends.
Did everyone like go on to other projects, or did like everyone else kind of stop making music and you went on to be in other bands?
No, Ian and I actually went on to do Rhythm of Cruelty, and now we're in Homefront. And then Moira had a project, Beauty Rest, which is amazing. Everyone should check it out. But I can't recall what Lane had gone on to do, but I know he was in other bands aside from playing bass in Langwood in Edmonton for a period as well.
No, I apologize. When you said Ian, somehow I didn't put two and
Oh,
two together that it was like your Ian. So I
yeah,
would
that
have known that. Now it makes
no,
sense.
that was our first band. Um, and then yeah, we were interested in like using more drum machine and kind of exploring more industrial and experimental post-punk like goth stuff that we were interested in. That was how Rhythm of Cruelty was birthed.
So I mean, this is kind of out of order too. I forgot to ask earlier. You mentioned when you were young playing around with your dad's drum set, but you're a bass player mainly, right? And
Oh
a
yeah.
vocalist. So how did that? Like, why didn't you become a drummer?
I think I wanted to become a drummer when I joined senior jazz, but they had put me on clarinet because our town was so small. We were assigned what we had to play. But my dad's drums only stayed in the house for about a few years, maybe up until I was 7. My mom made him sell them so we could buy groceries. But that's the way it goes.
Yeah,
90s were hard.
yeah. No, I mean, at least you got to play around with them for a bit. That's cool. Yeah, I just wondered, most people exposed to an instrument might go on to play that. But I guess also I didn't know the school was kind of choosing for you.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and I joke sometimes with our current drummer that I want to be his drum tech, and I sometimes get behind the drums, but I think it's fun to explore a lot of different types of instruments because you never know. what you might end up being naturally good at or just like naturally flows through you.
Were you playing bass before singing?
Uh, I always think that I was like a singer first because I'd like sing in choir at church and just like always enjoyed singing, but I didn't really pick up a bass until I was maybe 18 or 17.
I really love the idea of you kind of honing your craft singing in church to go on to be in the bands that you're in. It is like maybe not a stark difference, but it's a difference. Have you actually like talked to anyone from church that knows what you're doing now?
No, I only went to church for like maybe 2 or 3 years, like age 6 to 9, or something like very brief in my life. Maybe it was even like 8 to 10. I really don't know how long, but it was just a community, I think, to be a part of. I don't really know how religious my parents actually were. I think they were just trying to like steer us on the right path. I'm not sure. But my dad had played drums in the church band because he missed drumming. And then I would just join choirs so that I could kind of hang out with him and have that experience with him.
That is nice and makes more sense. I was assuming because I know a lot of small towns in Alberta are extremely religious, so I didn't know if you like grew up extremely like submerged in all of that.
I wouldn't say so, no. Like I definitely remember there being early days in my childhood that my parents like weren't together, had different partners and maybe were partying a little bit. And, it wasn't until I was like 6 or so that I think they really decided to work on the family and just raise these children as best as they could. Because they were quite young when they had us, like 24 and 21. They had like 3 kids already or something like that. Or they just, small towns, you start young, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think my parents were actually around that age. Like my parents are only 20 years older than I am, and I mean not from as small of a town, but I guess
Yeah,
I grew up in Kitchener, Ontario, so maybe they also had a bit of the small town thing and started young.
yeah, yeah. No, I definitely think there's a commonality, especially in the 80s. It just seems like, by 25, people were so settled down. And nowadays, you'll meet someone who's 45 and they're thriving and they're single and, or maybe don't have children and just living a really seemingly lovely life.
Yeah, no, I think my dad was tenured U of A prof when he was my age, and I
Oh, wow.
have this
That's,
podcast. I definitely am not a tenured prof, but
but don't sell yourself short. The podcast, like the store, what you do is not to be underappreciated or undervalued in any way.
thank you, thank you. Yeah,
I think it's just human psychology to like compare themselves or, want to aspire to like who they look up to.
yeah.
But I think as long as you're just enjoying the path you're on and, finding your own way, it's worth celebrating.
Yeah, true. And I am enjoying it. So maybe again I would say not tenured prof, but enjoying it for sure.
Definitely, that's good though.
So I wanna make sure to kind of shout out all your musical stuff. So when did Static Control come about?
Oh, um, that is a good question. So static control is sort of just a platform for all personal output, like whether it be my collages or my artwork for bands or posters. It wasn't until maybe 12 years ago that I decided to like make it into a musical project as well. And a lot of it is what I refer to as energized meditation because it's improvised. It's me sitting with my gear and seeing where it takes me rather than approaching it with a structural guidance of how a song should be made.
That's extremely interesting. I had no idea that it was like the umbrella for everything. I knew it was like only you, but I thought it was kind of a solo music thing where you could experiment with things that maybe didn't fit with all the other bands, which I guess sort of is.
Yeah, well, I actually put out a handful of zines under the moniker Static Control. And so it did just start as a paper medium platform. And then I just wanted to kind of like evolve it to be more of a, I guess, name for anything that I do, just whether it be musically or if I do any video work or collages. It's just the idea of having maybe some anonymity in such a, selfie world where people are putting themselves out there. I like the idea of some anonymity. So having another name to be referred to when I'm outputting some projects gives me that.
And are you still releasing things under that name?
I am, yes, yeah. I haven't done a zine in a while. I've been talking about putting out a book, but I just received Jerry Sue's beautiful Flower is the World book of photographs, and I'm feeling very inspired from that. So maybe without getting ahead of myself, this is the year I finally put out a book.
I love that book. And also from the photos I've seen of yours, they actually have like a similar like feel to his photos. Like not they're in any way like mimicking them. I just sort of get the same like spontaneity and randomness from your I actually should say I think one of your photos is probably one of my favorite like current like modern photos. Like I like all the photo books I read are like from the 70s or before that, like people who are actually kind of like pioneering black and white photo. But then I love new stuff too. And I think we talked about it when I first saw that you had taken it, but the photo of yours that's like a camouflaged electrical box, but it's like you know what I mean?
I do remember that photo actually. Yeah, I was just walking through the river valley, um, either on my way to the Muttart or on my way home, and it was off to the side and it caught my eye. And I feel like I appreciate you saying that you see that in my work because a lot of spontaneity, like, is what I'm noticing, or I guess like the beauty and the simplicity of design and how things kind of sit in the world or lay on top of each other can be quite captivating.
Yeah, I mean the exact type of stuff I look at too, and it's I'm sure to the average person it's so. I mean, Sarah has been around me taking my weird photos forever, so to her,
I love your photos.
thank you. Yeah, to her, it's not weird, but if we're with someone who maybe doesn't know me that well and I stop to take a photo of something, I and tell that they're probably thinking like, "What this is the weirdest thing to take a photo of? Like, why would anyone need this on photo?"
Yeah,
But I think
yeah.
that's the best kind of photo, and I that is one of my favorite, if not the favorite, like modern photo button. I have that in my notes. Like I don't know how, but bring up that photo and just tell Brandy how much you like that photo. So I
Well, maybe I should make a print of it and give it to you because I appreciate you saying that. But I would love to, like, on top of a collage book, like, do a photo book at some point and kind of compile everything in a more organized way. Say, I don't want to be like only putting my photos, onto something like Instagram, or I've like showed photos in an art show before, but the idea of like a physical, tangible book that others could have to look through, I think would be something I'd like to do.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I mean, all let me know when it's out. All I would love a signed copy. It could be worth millions one day.
Millions will be worth cents.
You must have so many photos from the traveling and touring so much.
I definitely have been really enjoying the photos that I like do get to take on these trips. But I even like, have so many photos just from around our city or travel that I do on my own. But being able to travel the way that we've gotten to over these last few years has given me a lot of beautiful content to sift through when I'm looking at my photos. Like I enjoy taking photos of bands, but I'm definitely more, you know, enjoy walking through a city or a park and seeing what I see there, taking photos of that.
Do you guys get to like spend much time in the cities after you play them, or is it kind of just in and out when you're booked for a show?
There's a lot of in and out, unfortunately, but even if we get to the venue early and say we do our sound check and have a bit of time, like in that hour or two, I might go for a walk and kind of explore the city in that way. But if we have a day off, we definitely try to utilize it and explore either a gallery or, Joshua Tree. We were able to go for a hike, or on this upcoming trip, we're hoping to see like the salt flats on one of our drives, like, making those like little stops to have that momentum, getting back into the van and kind of having that repetition.
So many of my actually Jerry Zoo is a perfect example. I think a lot of his I mean, he's probably my favorite photographer, so I'd say all of his photos are my favorite, but I really love photos from when he was like on skate trips. You can tell that
Yes.
that's like when he shone the brightest, I think. So I'm so jealous of people who get to tour like for a band or for whatever, like because sometimes I feel that having a short amount of time. It's hard to explain. Maybe you'll understand what I mean. But if I had like a week somewhere or a day in that same place, I feel I might take better photos in that day.
I definitely think time can limit you, but also like inspire you because it is so limited. It feels like a contradiction, but I think there's something to it. Having less time sort of puts you within a bit more pressure because you recognize how valuable that time is. Whereas if you had that week, as you were saying, you might not even take your camera out one day or take more than two photos because you're waiting for the next time you're out and you see something that you're going to be inspired to take a photo of. You almost want to reserve that role
Yeah, no, that
in
like
a way that's more intentional.
100% exactly what I was thinking because yeah, I would see something and then maybe think like, oh, we're gonna be here for a week. I'll see if it's sunny or tomorrow or shady or if it rains. Like there could be a better use of it, but if I only have one day, I feel I might take more photos just because I'm feeling the pressure. Like I need to get all the photos in a week's time, in a day's time, and then the output
Hmm.
might be a bit better. But I can already tell people listening are probably like that is not a good take. Like no one's gonna agree with that.
I mean, who knows? Maybe people will, but I think just like do things at your own pace and don't worry about how someone else is going to perceive it. That's not what it's about.
I'm terrible at lately. Like I'll go on vacation or go with Sarah to run somewhere, And on the flight there, I'm thinking this is gonna be incredible. I'm gonna make a mini DV edit, and I'm gonna like shoot 3 rolls of film every day. This is gonna like be so much is gonna come out of this, and then I end up taking. I won't even finish one roll. I won't even like take the mini DV camera out of my bag. I'm so bad at documenting stuff I'm doing lately. Are you getting like better or worse?
I think it's easy to like not document stuff sometimes when you're trying to live in the moment though as well. So don't discredit that. Like there's so many times on tour or like when I'm out where maybe I won't have my camera or I won't have any film left or something is blocking me documenting that moment. And I just try to like take it in as it being just that, like a memory and a moment that I can cherish, whether or not there's a physical item to look back on. I think we should give our memory a lot more credit to hold on to those moments. But I have had a lot of issues with cameras over the last 2 years. So I've been finding myself really frustrated. Like I recently tried a digital camera because there have been a few times where I've like been without a camera and I don't even think to pull out my phone, which is now a problem because I've gotten so used to having a camera on me that I've just been like missing out on taking photos of these moments, but I'm not going to let it get to me because I have the memory of it, I suppose.
I mean, I was gonna say that you're lucky. I wish I had conditioned myself not to take photos on my phone because I've like never really placed that much emphasis on like the whole film or digital. Like I just think any photo, like any memory of anything is good. But I like just the phone photos I feel mean a lot less. And then when I need room on my phone, I'll just delete stuff without thinking. Or if I get a new phone and it won't transfer properly, I don't really care. Like, I don't value images on my phone at all. So that's the only reason I wish I took them with the real camera. But I guess the other side of that is I would hate not having the memory even more than just having it on my phone. So I get why it would be frustrating not to pull the phone out for photos, but it also quite nice.
Yeah, it's interesting sometimes when I like go out and I'm like, I see a lot of beauty and I'm just like, damn, why didn't I take any photos? I had my phone on me. Like I've almost just forgotten that that's an option as of late, but I will eventually get back into using this device for a, a camera.
I guess one of the better uses of it would be a camera. Like there's a lot of other ways to waste time on it that aren't as great as having a memory.
Yeah. Well, because I like run and own operate my own business, the barber shop, I have everything going through my phone, appointments, emails, messages. So I've a new relationship with it where I want to be putting it down more and I tend to just ignore it more because it's a part of like my job and my business.
I wouldn't have forgot, but I definitely did not have as many questions about the barber side of things because that's like equally as interesting. You are in a bunch of bands, very talented artist, also a barber and a business owner on top of that. So I guess to go with all of my questions, when did the barbering come into all of this?
So I guess like everyone needs a day job. I think it was back when Barber Hall was on White, they had reached out to see if I wanted to collage their washroom walls. And so I did that. And at the time, I didn't have a job. And so they hired me to work the front desk. And then I just gradually fell into barbering. And then only 4 years ago, I went out and opened my own brick and mortar just so that I could be my own boss. But it's given me the freedom to take time off and travel without that sense of guilt of leaving the workload on my fellow employees. Like it's only my clients and me that I have to worry about, and I just need to communicate when I'll be away. But it's beside the fact of everything we're talking about. It's like the least important.
No, actually, because and it's funny. I knew this. I wouldn't say it's ulterior motives, but I knew I was gonna ask you this, and I didn't want to like I wasn't gonna ask you to come on here and then while we're figuring that out, throw this into the mix. But I've shaved my head, or Sarah has shaved my head once a week for ever. Like I don't know when I've ever had hair, and I just decided a few weeks ago that I'm gonna get a haircut, like a
Oh, wow.
hairstyle. So I knew
Yeah.
you've been. I have plenty of friends that you're there, barber. Everyone recommended you, so I actually was gonna wait until right now because it's kind of funny podcast content. But I need, if you'll have me, I need to enlist you as my barber.
Well, gladly. I'm on tour next week, but hit me up when I'm back and we will get you into my shop. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, I shaved it to a zero 2 weeks ago, so I assume I have a couple months to go until it needs to be cut. But
Yeah, I think by summertime you can take a visit to my shop.
how how quickly does hair grow?
Honestly, it depends on the person, their diet, their lifestyle. It all plays a part, but on average, maybe a centimeter to two a month.
So I'm in for
It varies with everyone. So you got a long road ahead of you, but
I'm committed.
you'd be surprised what you can do with.
I'm committed. Sarah's supportive of it. I have a bunch of hats in the meantime.
I was gonna say you're a hat guy, so you can just wear that for the grow out phase.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I'll be safe. I just wanted to confirm that you would take care of me when the time came. And that's incredible.
100%. No, no question.
So you're only cutting guys hair, or are there women also?
Um, I was like trained as a traditional barber, so that's just like the field I'm most comfortable in. Like I did go to school to get my red seal, but I never explored like a salon services, like long hair, color, um, perms. I had to do those for school, but it was never something I was interested in. Like I started with the traditional barbering services and have just felt comfortable with that. Not to say that I don't do like female haircuts. I have a ton of queer and non-binary and trans clients come in all the time. It's just like what I specialize in is a bit more focused.
Yeah, but I was just curious because I was trying to think of, I've seen so many people like, post your shop on their haircuts. Like I see them on my stories all the time, and I was thinking most of the people, if not all the people I've seen, are kind of identify as male. The ones I've seen,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah,
Sarah was like, "Oh, ask her." Like, just out of curiosity. I mean, we both kind of thought that might be the definition of a barber instead of a stylist.
that's exactly it. Yeah, a lot of people don't know there is a difference, but not to say like if Sarah were to hit me up and wanted to trim, I'd probably say yes, but I'm not like the most skilled in that department. So I only say yes to like girlfriends rather than advertise like, hey, this is what I'm good at. Like I recognize where my skills are kind of focused.
Well, it's just disappointing because now you won't be able to give me a perm if I ever want one.
I mean, I could make an exception. I did get very high grades on my perm test in school, but the chemical is so strong and my space is actually really small, like 142 square feet. It's like me and the client and maybe their dog or a friend can come in and sit in, but it's such a small space.
Like you have one chair.
Yeah, it's a one chair barber shop.
That is that see I don't know. But actually most of the things I talk about on here I don't know much about. I know absolutely nothing about haircutting and all that. Is that like rare or like owning just like you having your shop and it being just you, is that rare in the grand scheme of barbers?
I think it is less common. I think there is something to like old barber shops where people think of walking in there and there's 5 to 10 conversations going on, a bunch of TVs blaring, a sports channel or what have you. But I wanted to take away all of like the noise and sort of excess that comes with those style of barbershops and have it be more focused, like one-on-one with the individual. I can play my own music. I don't have to be disrupted by like another conversation. It's just more focused.
Oh, I assume, like, obviously, you don't have to share any of the details, but if there's no one to overhear the conversations, I have heard clients kind of treat barbers sort of like a therapist at some point. I bet people have unloaded insane stuff on you.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I signed my own NDA. Okay.
Yes, there's a massage therapist, and they people treat those sort of like therapists in a way, and she's heard I mean I don't know the details because that's against the code or whatever. I just know people have really unloaded heavy stuff on her before too, and it's just her and them in a room. So I think without anyone being able to eavesdrop, they probably are even more open about what they say.
So I've actually read that that's like a psychological thing unknowingly when someone sits in a barber chair or lays on a massage table, someone is touching you, they're getting into your personal space, which automatically allows you to feel comfortable and almost like breaks down those barriers that are typically there. It's interesting how that can kind of like affect your interaction with someone who you've just met, but you're providing a safe space for them. And as soon as you touch them, you're in their circle. And it just drops a lot of, I guess, borders or walls that people typically put up.
For sure, like haircuts are super important. So if someone's trusting you with how they're gonna look for the next few months, like without a hat on, I assume they were gonna tell you the most intricate details of their life because they trust you a lot, like with their appearance. So why not with their thoughts and all that?
Mm-hmm. Well, and then it kind of keeps it interesting. Like, not to say that there's a lot of mundane conversations going on, but those do happen. And you can only talk about current affairs and the weather and, what you did that weekend so much without it becoming pretty redundant. Like, I like to keep it interesting and almost like challenge the conversations I'm having with some of these clients because I'm like just there by myself all day.
I Dan Zimmerman, a client of
Oh,
yours,
my guy.
he I just I went we're working on something together and we had a meeting over ice cream the other night. Actually, it was incredible, and I told him we were setting something up, and he said it would be the perfect place to like we should have done the podcast while I was getting a haircut. Except the buzz of the Clippers might get in the way.
Yeah. No, I definitely like keeping certain elements of life separate, like if I'm gonna have a conversation with you, I want to be sitting in the comfort of my home,
Yeah,
not at work, like focusing. Like I can multitask. Like I definitely have some signs of ADHD happening when I'm like working on stuff. But when I agreed to this conversation, I was like, I knew what I wanted the setting to be. And for that, for me, it was going to be comfortably sitting at home.
yeah, I feel you would have to like focus the most out of anything on a haircut. Like you gotta get it perfect, a lot of precision. It would be impossible to have like a detailed conversation while something like that was happening.
I think like maybe a detailed conversation with you who is doing the podcast would be different than, me giving Dan a haircut while I'm trying to talk to someone else. Because like I can like go into deep conversation while working or like, do a straight razor shave while someone else is talking. But I think keeping things like secular and like this podcast, this conversation, I think is gonna go better knowing that I'm not at work. It's like I'm more relaxed at home.
I know straight shapes were a part of this as well. I like the idea of a straight shape.
Yeah, so when I say traditional barbering, I suppose that's like where I'm bringing it back to old school.
Well, once Sarah and I were in Mexico years ago, and there was a barber shop kind of on our, like on the to and from where we were staying, and the people were very cool, and the price. It was insane. I think for a haircut and a straight shave, it was like a few dollars. So I was going almost every day and getting a straight shave, and I don't even shave that much at home. It seemed like a cool thing to do, and it was quite affordable. But that was 15 years ago, maybe, and I haven't got a straight shave since. I might take you up on that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like a very therapeutic and like relaxing experience for the guys that come in. Like I've had so many people fall asleep while I'm straight razor shaving them, and then I have to wake them up because I've got a razor to their neck. I'm like, once you start snoring, we have a problem.
Yeah, that sounds like a dangerous time to fall asleep.
Hmm.
I don't know if I could. If I knew someone had a razor, not that you're doing anything bad with it, but I would try not to fall asleep when someone has a razor to my neck.
Yeah. I think it's just the environment. Like they're alone in there. I've got like good music playing usually. It's warm, there's plants. It's like a very peaceful like place to be. So you like get the hot cloths and on your face and the nice aromatherapy and you just fall asleep. I don't think it's intentional. It's not like they're scheduled in nap time.
No, but now that you describe it like that, I think I might be able to fall asleep in that environment with the smells and the plants and the sunlight. It might actually be scheduled nap time.
Hmm.
I have a question that is, I mean, it goes with everything. It might be a bit out of order, but I'm so curious, and I've never. I mean, I guarantee it's been asked in a music interview, but I just can't think of it, and I really want to ask someone that tours this question. But if you're touring, I don't know if you get homesick at all, but if you were, what would you do? Like, is there something you eat or a show or a movie you watch that kind of makes you feel better? Or like, are you fun on tour all the time?
I suppose there are moments of like exhaustion that might look like feeling homesick. But now that I've been doing it for as long as I have a pretty good routine, almost like day to day, that keeps me grounded and like keeps me excited for like the show that night or where we're traveling to next. Like I tend to get a lot of good reading and writing done on these trips, and I've like started bringing my jump rope on tour. So every time we're like at a gas station, like move my body a bit and just I suppose like I do miss my cats. Like I do look forward to coming home and seeing my friends, but I get so much out of being on the road and going to new places every day and having these new experiences that the road could be my home. Maybe a nomad lifestyle is a part of something I would maybe enjoy.
Yeah, it's always going on like kind of shorter, like sporadic tours and then coming back and then going on another one, or have you guys done like any huge like months and months on the road type tour?
I think the longest tour I've ever done was 6 weeks with Rhythm of Cruelty, and we just drove throughout North America. But with Homefront, we've, I think at most had like a 2 to 3 week tour that was the longest. We have a few 2 week ones coming up, but they kind of range in length depending on like where we're going, what the offers are, what's happening in everyone's life as well. Our drummer has a baby at home, so there are like things to consider for everyone in the band to be able to do long stretches.
Where are you guys going right away?
This next trip is just Portland, Seattle, uh, Boise, Salt Lake City, and Denver. So 5 shows, 7 days with travel. Pretty quick for the most part, but I think it'll be a really fun time. But we do have like 2 weeks in June in Europe, and I think we'll get a lot of ground covered then. And that's actually the one I'm most looking forward to in the upcoming future.
It's so, I mean, probably infinitely cooler for you actually being in Homefront. But for me, I meet so many interesting people really doing this. Like each episode, I try to like vary who I talk to. So I've kind of made friends and followed a ton of people along the way. And I've seen, like, I can't even count the amount of people who have posted like screenshots or like Spotify things of listening to Homefront. Like people who I barely know, like they don't know anything about Edmonton. They're like New York people or whatever. There's so many people that I've seen posting it, and every time I see it, I think like it's so cool. Like I've met these people, like they're from where I'm from. It like makes me so like I don't know. Sometimes when I tell people I'm like proud of them, I feel it seems like disingenuous or kind of weird. But like just knowing you guys are from where I'm from makes me smile, and I see people constantly sharing your stuff. So it's
Well, I mean, even like being in the band and from Edmonton, like I'm so proud of Graham and Clint. Like their music is exceptional, and like what Warren and myself and Ian bring to the table, like I think just make it very fun. So I appreciate you saying that you see it everywhere and feel like a sentiment to like knowing us as people, because we all know you and appreciate like what you do and your involvement within our city as well.
did you? Yeah, I mean, thank you. Sorry. Um, Did, I guess I don't know. This is weird to ask someone. Like, did you guys think that it was gonna work out for you? Like, I always wonder when people have a band that like starts doing well. Did they like not in an arrogant way at all, but like were you confident when you guys started playing together? Did you think like this could be something? I feel like people are going to be into this sort of thing, or was it all like you were just having fun and then it became something like very real?
Yeah, I definitely think it's always been about having fun and just like, your love for writing music and playing music. Like, I don't think any of us ever anticipated to have the opportunities that we've had and just the like recognition the albums have had. Been really wild to kind of consider, because I'm a part of it, I almost don't look at the outside perspective, but I am very proud of the band and everyone in it and everyone who's helped get us to where we are now, like the label and just any people who helped with the booking. Like it's such a collective effort now, whereas I've only been in bands that are, the band members are booking everything. The band members are doing all the legwork, whereas this project is very much its own community of people, but it's such a vast community that it feels like it's so much bigger than just a band.
If if you had I mean, guess or maybe you guys have talked about it internally, is your plan to like? Do you like these like shorter tours and like kind of having real life exist as well, or do you think at some point it's gonna like demand more of a presence and like extended tours and like that being all of your like full time things?
I think that that would be difficult for some individuals. I think that for me personally, like I did just sign a 5-year lease at my job because I like recognize the uncertainty of life and I just need a little bit of stability at the end of the day. If the opportunity came that we were like talking about doing a month or multiple lengthy extended tour, I would cross that bridge when the time comes, but I don't tend to like overthink or catastrophize is the wrong word, but just like worry about what's going to happen in the future because I don't have control over that right now. I can just like enjoy these trips that we get to go on, and time frame doesn't make a huge difference to me. Like I am a person of longevity. I can, I guess, like rough it in a van for weeks or months if I had to. It's just a matter of, I guess, finding balance. If that were the case, I'd definitely have to reconsider things at home, such as like my cats or my job, my business. But until that is something I really need to worry about, like I'm just enjoying the ride and feeling grateful for every moment of it.
That's incredible. If you could teach me how to think that way, I would love to be as calm and collected about things as you seem to be. That's an incredible trait. How many cats do you have?
Just two, Monty and Phaedra. They are siblings though, so they're quite bonded. But Monty has jumped on my lap for about the third time in the last hour. He's my boy.
Are they how long have you had them?
I think like 8 years. I'd love to get like a dog or a frog, but with the amount I travel, cats are a little bit easier to have someone take care of, or just, they say they're not as needy, but I think they are quite needy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Sarah and we had a cat for a long 20 years actually, and they
Oh,
quite needy, even though like yeah, a lot of people think not, but they demand attention. Like I mean our dog is incredibly needy as well, and maybe the cat
yeah.
was more than usual, but no, I agree with that. Way needier than people think.
Mm-hmm. They just like deserve just as much love.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I'm looking at my time here. I think I've taken up enough of your day. I've got learned a ton. I think I asked you everything that I had to ask, maybe a bit out of order, but I think that it worked out well. Hopefully you agree that it wasn't the worst afternoon of your life.
You know what? I really enjoyed the conversation. I know I was a little anxious about it coming into, but you're very easy to talk to, and I appreciate you allowing me to just discuss everything we discussed with you. It felt very natural.
Thank you. That is how I try to do them. And lately, there have been people who have asked um, for like questions or kind of lines of questions going into it. And of
Okay.
course, like whatever people want to feel comfortable doing this, like I'm more than happy to appease. But sometimes I like the fact that I had a lot of stuff written down about you, but nothing really planned, and I love that we can like talk and then I can ask based on what you answered. So I learned an immense amount, and actually I asked about the haircut, so I'm glad got that confirmed. But I have one
Yeah.
more favor. Can you would you be able to please set me up to interview Ian?
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to. He's requested a lot as well.
Yeah, in the beginning, I was actually thinking about who I would almost suggest you interview next, and obviously Ian was on the list. So
I mean, a friend of yours is a friend of mine. Anyone you feel like sending my way, 100%, 1,000%, I would love to. But Ian, for sure, I know you might have some pull in that area, so I would love to chat with him in the future.
100%, he'd be so honored, I'm sure.
Awesome. Well, oh, before I almost forgot, before I kick us both off, do you want to please take a minute to let anyone listening know where they can find any of the millions of things that you're up to these days? But anything you want to promote right now, the mic is yours. Please go ahead.
Oh, I hadn't thought about this one. I suppose Instagram is a platform right now that I am on with Static Control, Rhythm of Cruelty. Homefront has an Instagram, Are We Not Homefront? Nice homage to Devo. Uh, and then my business is Your Barber Brandi. But I'd also like to give a shout out to Nine Times because they're having their skate deck art show tomorrow above their shop. And then they're having an art show in 2 weeks that they've asked me to submit a piece for. So I'm looking forward to that. But I recognize the show will probably come out post the deck show tomorrow. But Wes, you should definitely come. We'll make sure you.
It's I think it's upstairs though, right?
Yeah, we were saying we could like get you up there though if you wanted to come. Like we actually, Kevin said to say hi this morning. He's staying, and I had told him I was going to talk to you today. So the offer's out there. We would love to see you there if you could make it.
Thank you very much. I had someone else ask about it, and then I thought it was maybe not possible because of the stairs. But I mean, I've gone around the stair thing before, and now that the offer is
Yeah.
out there, I may take you guys up on it. I think before we were recording, you mentioned working on a piece for an upcoming show. I wondered if it was for the
Yeah.
show upstairs.
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah. So
And that they got like I think quite lucky with the obsession, like kind of the branding of that show. It seems like Calvin Klein obsession is on the tip of everyone's brain, so it's very perfect.
it's totally an homage to that perfume and that ad and that era. So it's nice to see people pick up on that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
hopefully. I mean, a lot of the young people might not.
it's true. Actually, I did bring up Elvis Presley the other day to someone, and they had no idea who I was talking about. And it made me feel very old. But
That's insane. I've heard some of the younger people not knowing certain things, but that one seems. I mean, everyone should know about Elvis. That's
I was shook. Trust me. I was like, what? You don't know those hits?
yeah. That's I don't love that, but I'm at least you probably educated them a bit, so now they do know.
Yeah, I hope they went home and did their research.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully. Well, thank you very much for all this, and have fun on the tour. I mean, it'll take me a while to grow this hair out, but once it's out, I'll hit you up to book a cut and a shave, perhaps.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, Wes. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and honestly, I love good banter. We could just keep chatting for a lot longer. And
Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, I guess we are sort of in touch, but we should maybe be more in touch.
yeah, definitely.
Learning all this stuff about you is, I was impressed before, but I'm extra impressed now. I would love
Wow.
to keep more in touch, and yeah, good luck with everything, even though I doubt you need it, but I'll extend it anyway.
I'll take the luck. I appreciate that. I'll hold it close to my heart. I appreciate it, really.
Perfect.
I need more luck. We all do.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I as well. We all do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
No, thank you. We'll see you soon, but stay well. Thanks, Wes.
Bye.
Bye.